We're here on the New Orleans Saints podcast. I'm Erin Summers along with center, guard, interior lineman Will Clapp, back with the Saints. Man, second time around. And people like to say that the Saints don't draft LSU players, but you were one of them.
I was one of them. I remember when I first got drafted, it was kind of like a big deal, but coming in the locker room now, there's I think 5 or 6 of us, and I'm excited to see all those guys. There's
a couple that you actually played with, too. So Gotcha, somebody that is a new signee as well, and then Foster Morrow. What is that like? How does that help you kind of transition back in?
I'm just so excited to see all those guys. In high school, I played Foster all the time. I was a Brother Martin guy. He was a Jesuit guy, and then we became very good friends at LSU. He's one of my groomsmen at my wedding, so obviously still close with him. Gotcha, same recruiting class as me, so we've been playing against each other for a while, and then playing with Clyde, so a lot of familiarity with all these guys.
When you found out that the Saints wanted to bring you back, what was that moment like?
I remember I was just chilling at the house one day, playing on the ground with my son, and my agent called me, and the Saints were talking about getting a contract done, and I was just so excited. I couldn't believe it was probably going to come together, and from that moment on, I was pretty focused about hey, let's just get this done. I don't want to entertain anything else right now.
So first thought was, I'm absolutely going to go back there.
Yeah, for sure. I had a great year in Buffalo last year, loved it, but at the same time, my wife and kids didn't travel with me, and I was kind of missing home, being out there by myself. And as soon as that even came a possibility, I was like, let's lock this in.
What makes playing for the Saints so special?
One, I think it's the organization. This is still by far the best organization I've played for. I loved every second I was here for my first 4 years. And then two, just being in New Orleans, I grew up here, the fan base, the environment, I don't think you can beat that in the NFL.
Yeah, the fans are extremely passionate. They like to have fun, gets the dome rocking. What are you looking forward to most getting back in there?
Who that chant to start the game, that still, gives you chills every time you get to experience that. And really just, playing in front of the fan base. I have such great memories from my first 4 years. Had some, some big wins and some fantastic runs that we went on, so I'm excited to experience that again.
You not only have familiarity with some of the players here already, but the coaching staff, even though it's new here, you've played with a lot of them. Kellen Moore, Newsmeyer, Brandon Nugent. You've already had experience with the people that you're going to be directly working with. So how much does that help?
Yeah, so Kellen was the OC my last year in LA, and then I've been with Nuge every year of my career except last year. So that familiarity definitely helps coming into the building, just kind of knowing what to expect when it comes to the playbook, knowing what Nuge expects in his room and his techniques. So I'm definitely excited to get back with those guys and do what I can and help wherever I can.
What does it say about you that they wanted to bring you back and play for them again?
Yeah, I think I just try to do the best job I can in the role they put me in. I pride myself on as a backup lineman, sometimes you find out the day before a game, you're going to start or have, more reps than you were expecting, and just priding myself on preparing every week like you're going to start every snap. And, I feel like that's always helped me throughout my career when people bring me in.
How do you handle that versatility, not knowing if it's going to be today or what position?
Yeah, I think it's every day in the meeting room, like I said, attacking it like, hey, I'm starting this game. Because I've had games where night before in LA, news come up to me saying, hey, you're starting tomorrow. A guy got sick or something like that, or a guy's injury, turned out he couldn't go. So, having that mindset, you never have to get prepared because you're always prepared.
How do you feel like you're going to fit in with the line here?
I feel like it's going to go over smooth. I still, keep up and good friends with Eric and Caesar. And I know they got some young, talented players, so I'm excited to, come in and, see how they operate, and hopefully I can bring some to the room from some veteran standpoints.
You said that the Kellen Moore offense was your favorite that you ever played. Why?
I think most of all, the terminology was just everything made sense. Everything had a meaning behind it. Nothing was too crazy that you had to make something up in your head, make sense of it. Everything was to the point. And I absolutely loved when I was playing in that offense in LA. And I'm excited to see them put it together here.
When you started here with the Saints, you were center for Drew Brees. What did you learn from that experience?
Man, playing for Drew was crazy. one, I was a little kid when they signed him, so it was a little weird, like getting in the locker room and he was still going. But Drew's passion for the game and just the way he went about it, like you saw how he worked day in and day out, and I thought that was great for like young players, especially like myself, to see how to be a pro and how to attack every day as an NFL player.
You mentioned that your family is here in New Orleans, wife, your kids here today as you signed your papers. What is Will like outside of the locker room and off of a football field?
Yeah, I mean, most of the time, like we're kind of homebodies, like just hanging out at the house. Y'all met my daughter today.
Mm-hmm.
She's kind of running the house. She big personality and she's running us around. So we're always just hanging out with the kids, doing family stuff. Me personally, I like to just like go golf and hang out with some friends on the weekends. We don't get anything too crazy. Now
that you're back here, where do you have to go eat?
My first stop when I got back was Impastato's, good little Italian spot in Metairie. Mm-hmm. My family's been eating there forever, so that was my first stop.
Yeah, makes sense. It's a good place, and there's a lot of history in there.
Oh yeah.
Well, we look forward to having you on the field again coming up this fall. It's going to be a lot of fun. So thank you and congratulations.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be back.